You know, partner, sometimes life is stranger than fiction. And as I was surfing the internet earlier this week, I came across just such a story. So let's check it out, shall we?
On April 15, 1954, Bellingham, Seattle, and other Washington communities are in the grip of a strange phenomenon. Tiny holes, pits, and dings have seemingly appeared in the windshields of cars at an unprecedented rate. Initially thought to be the work of vandals, the pitting rate grows so quickly that panicked residents soon suspect everything from cosmic rays to sand flea eggs to fallout from H-bomb tests. By the next day, pleas are sent to government officials asking for help in solving what would become known as the Seattle Windshield Pitting Epidemic.
It all started in the beautiful Pacific Northwest, when a series of tiny windshield pits were first reported in Bellingham. At first, the police thought, no big deal, probably just some young misanthropes with BB guns prowling the streets. It's a phase, partner. It'll pass. But by the end of the week, the damage had spread. Residents just south in Sedro-Woolley and in Mount Vernon began reporting damage as well. And by the second week, the town of Anacortes gets hit early in the morning. Desperate to apprehend the vandals, police are dispatched and create a roadblock to screen all the cars coming in and out. But their efforts of containment are too late. Reports begin coming in even further south, and by the end of the day, more than 2,000 cars from Bellingham to Oak Harbor were reported as having been damaged. Clearly, this could not be the work of roaming hooligans. The damage is spreading too far, too fast. The next morning, Seattleites read newspaper headlines about the mysterious phenomenon, and they probably wonder if it could happen in their backyard. And then it did. At 6 p.m., a report came into Seattle police that 3 cars had been damaged in a lot at 6th Avenue and John Street. And at 9 p.m., a motorist reported that his windshield had been hit at North 82nd and Greenwood Avenue. And then all hell broke loose. Suddenly, motorists started stopping police cars on the street to report windshield damage. Parking lots and auto sales lots north of downtown were hit. Parked cars as far west as Ballard, and even police cars parked in front of precinct stations suffered damage. What was going on? Was it copycat vandals or something spreading in the wind? Theories abounded. As people began to look closer at their windshields, they started noticing this weird black powder. What was this mystery dust? Sheriff Tom Clark of Whidbey Island was worried that it could be fallout from the recent H-bomb tests over at Bikini Atoll that had happened just 6 weeks earlier. And although the detonation was 3 times more powerful than expected, and 1,000 times more explosive than the bombs dropped in World War II, the fallout range of a few hundred miles is just too small to reach Washington. Even so, Geiger counters were run over the windshields, but found no sign of radioactivity. A few people reported seeing the glass bubble right in front of their eyes, like a tiny egg hatching, and speculated that maybe it's sand fleas. So yeah, I don't know how that's possible. Let's think about it. Maybe the windshield glass is melted down beach sand, and the eggs are just impermeable to heat. And the new larvae are so strong, they're like ants, right? They just break out from the crystalline lattice, right? But even so, why would they all start hatching all at once? Electronic oscillations, cosmic rays, supersonic sound waves, and even gremlins were theorized to be behind this mystery. And partner, once you've got gremlins on your hand, you know you're in a crisis. By the next morning, windshield pitting had reached epidemic levels. Extra clerks had to be brought into the police precincts to handle the flurry of calls coming from confused and angry car owners. Close to 3,000 windshields had been reported damaged, and the situation was totally out of control. So Seattle Mayor wired the state governor and President Dwight Eisenhower to help with the emergency situation. So who you gonna call, partner? Ghostbusters? Batman? Mystery Inc.? No, by golly, get me some scientists down here, stat. So Committee of Environmental Researchers, physicists, chemists, meteorologists did a survey. Their verdict? The damage was overly emphasized, and the result of normal driving conditions in which small objects strike the windshield of cars. Further investigation by the Seattle Police Department showed that the damage was selective to older cars, and not on the side or the back windows, but the windshield only, further supporting the claim of the scientists. So, wait a second, you're telling me that it was all in their head? How could that be, partner? What is the real culprit of this crisis? This story has become a textbook example of mass delusion, and it's made possible because of a vulnerability in our human reasoning system called the confirmation bias. And here's how it works. First, we see a pattern. In this case, a series of damaged windows. Second, we form a theory. Vandals, fallout, cosmic rays, sand fleas, they're all theories that something unnatural is causing the damage. And then when we go out, we find information that fits our theory, because we're just more attuned to it. And in this case, it's any new reports of window damage, which we now conveniently find all over the news and media. And since we don't go around looking for ways to prove ourselves wrong, we tend to prove the things that we came to believe initially, even if they're based on flimsy evidence. Seek, and ye shall find.
With all the recent reports of windshield damage, I think the only logical thing to do is to go and check around to see if we have become a victim too. Can you see anything, partner? Oh God, what is it? It's a pit!
So because everyone assumed that something was out there causing the damage, they all missed the simple explanation that the pits had always been there, and that normally we look through our windshields, and suddenly now everyone had a good reason to look at the windshield instead. And remember that mysterious black powder? Well, that turned out just to be coal dust, and that had always been there too. The scary thing to me is that this is not a property of damaged or defective or uneducated minds, but of all human brains, yours and mine included. And it's how bad ideas can spread like a virus, a thought contagion, or a dirty, dirty meme. And since we also have a bias towards groupthink, right, the more people infected, the larger the effect. Some ideas just explode exponentially like an atom bomb and contaminate huge numbers and huge populations before we even know what hit us. So we have to understand how mass delusion and how the confirmation bias work, because it's only a matter of time before the next bad idea spreads through our society like wildfire. Or has it happened already? Let me know what you think in the comments, partner, and I'll see you next time on The Joy of Thinking. Cheers.
First of an intense wind, the heat flash strikes, charring the outer surface of the house without causing fire. Foaming, blackened particles of whitewash are forced upward by the heat flash. The scene darkens as the blast wave brings heavy clouds of dust. The falling part of the roof is snapped upward like a lid, crashing into the rear yard. Now the blast wave gets inside of the house under tremendous pressure, blows apart. Remember, what you have seen here in detail happened in just
2 1/3